listening to The Sizzle on Iron Skillet Radio and Iron Skillet Television.
You know who it is. You know what it is. It's The Sizzle in the building, getting ready to bring you the hottest information that we can. You know who's in the building. He's Jay Sizzle. I'm G Sizzle.
Had to think about that.
Yeah, I had to think about it for a second because I have so much that we need to talk about. Jay, we've got to talk about the NFL, some of the moves that are being made. We've got moves being made all over the league. You got the AFC East is making all kinds of moves. You got nothing happening in the NFC North. And you got other teams who made one or two moves. And still, there's one move that was made that boggles everybody's mind. It was kind of a switcheroo. Say, I signed up for one team, but guess what? I'm going to another.
I don't want to play for you.
Yeah, I don't want to play for you anymore. This is what happens when you try and flim-flam a player. So, Jay, when we first start talking about the AFC, what's the thing that first has struck you about all the moves that you've seen thus far?
First thing out, free Brittany Griner. I want to say that, get that out there. Hope she comes home here at some point in time. One of the big moves that I saw that I'm a little happy about right now, there's a little bit of a dissension up there in Cheesehead land. Yes, sir. Aaron Rodgers signs for the big kahuna deal, right? He signs for all the chiclets. He can go get his hair dyed and put a little purple in there. He can go out and meditate. He's good to go. But a certain guy he throws the ball to, they tried to franchise tag him. And Davante Adams says, oh, no. I will not play for a franchise tag. And here's the biggest point. He feels betrayed by number 12. That's what he said. Now, let's take a look to the beloved, right? Okay. They have done nearly nothing. They signed a defensive tackle for about $40 million that I don't even know who he is, but apparently I'm trusted in polls, but they haven't done anything else. And you know they're cutting salary left and right. I'm wondering, is it possible they could be making a play for Davante Adams? Are they saying, hey, come on down, we got the money, how much do you want? Are they going to, because here's a guy, Davante Adams, top 5 wide receiver in the NFL. We know he'll instantly make Justin Fields a better quarterback instantly because he can get separation. We know he's a guy who has enough speed to get over the top on you. Plus, he's one of the best route runners in the league. I mean, this guy can get off the ball, break guys down like he's running a fast break of basketball, and get loose and get separation. For a young quarterback, that's one thing he needs, not to throw in these tight windows, but to throw to guys who are open. This could be a play that I see Mr. Poles pulling off because they're going to need big-time wide receiver help, way more than Mr. Mooney right down here with the beloved. So that's one thing I'm looking at the NFC North. I'm saying, woo, could there be a little change? And guess what? He don't have to drive very far. It's right down the road. He can come on down a day trip, and come down and get up in Soldier Field. So I'm interested. That one was interesting to me. Of course, Tampa Bay. Soon as TB12 said he was coming back, everybody said, come on down.
Here we go.
They signed Gage. I think they got somebody's starting guard. They came down there. I mean, they just, come on, TB12 gonna have everybody down there. Everybody. He's bringing people out of retirement. One more time. They're saddling up for one more run. This is the last thing that the AFC that anybody playing in the league down there wanted to see was Tom Brady coming back with a Buccaneers. And here's the other side of it too. If Godwin can come back off that ACL tear and be any part of what he is, and now they got Gage down there too, their wide receiving core is even better. Correct. You know what I'm saying? Right. So very interesting out here. Love to see Mitchell Trubisky landed somewhere. I think Mitchell actually is going to play well up there. I think Noopy is going is going to coach him up because I think he's going to be scared to death of Noopy up there. And, I wouldn't want to play for Noopy. Noopy scares me. You know what I'm saying? So I think Mitchell's gonna be all right up there. It's just interesting to see what's gonna happen. What do you say about that, bro?
Well, it's an interesting take. I'm looking at what Green Bay's done, and I'm looking at. Here's my question: you give a linebacker a 5-year deal worth $50 million.
Yeah.
Then you give another linebacker a 4-year deal worth $52.5 million. And then he gets, with all of that made, he gets more than $65 million over 5 years with a chance to make $71 million. That's reported by Ian Rappaport. And then to your point, the Bears have modestly gotten a veteran O-lineman, a long snapper that they re-signed, which was their own, and a D-tackle, which was injured last year and didn't help the Cincinnati Bengals get to.
The Bears have done little to nothing. They just cut a lot of salary loose, and to your point, is Mr. Poles going to eat this salary this year? Is that possible? I think he's going to go out here and try to bring not a splash of a big name, but somebody who projects 3 and 4 years to be in a top 5 player in their position. I think this is what because you need stars in this league. We saw what happened with the Rams. You saw, nobody thought Cooper Kupp was going to be what he was going to be. Everybody had him in his fantasy a couple of years ago, but nobody saw that he was going to be the best wide receiver in the league. And yes, I said it. So a lot of people, he's the best wide receiver. Really? Tell me another wide receiver you want in the clutch, and I'll tell you, nope, that's not the right guy. Cooper Kupp is that guy. Okay. So you need that type of guy on the Chicago Bears. You need that type of guy. Allen Robinson wasn't that guy. He wasn't fast enough, nor was he physical enough to get free, and he didn't come down with a big catch when you needed it.
No, he didn't. In fact, what's really funny is one of the receivers they were looking at, DJ Shark, who signs a 1-year deal for $10 million with Detroit. You've got one of your receivers in the NFC Central. I'm not sure going forward what the moves, and maybe I'm wrong, and just hear me out for this one. If the Bears are deciding maybe we're just cutting salary, because we didn't even talk about the moves they made, the trades they've made. We didn't talk about them just kind of flushing the whole system out. And then on the other side of that, when you look outside of the Bears, one of their quarterback prospects before they got Justin Fields is now back in play. He's not going to be criminally charged. He'll have to go through whatever legal ramifications in civil suits.
Nice to have money.
But now you've got Deshaun Watson back in the mix and in the fold. I don't think that the Saints have enough to sign him. I wouldn't go to New Orleans at this point, not without a Sean Payton, not without that leadership. I mean, you've got a great running back and a great wide receiver, but a wide receiver who's been injured a whole year also. So I'm not a fan of that. And if you're in Carolina, I don't know. If you're the Texans, is McCaffrey going to be a equal trade if you have to use him for Deshaun Watson?
Well, no, because McCaffrey is starting to be a guy who's starting to be injured now. Now the best thing about Deshaun Watson that he had almost a full year off, which is a good thing. Legs are fresh, arm is fresh. We know he can throw the football. We know he can run the football. The question is Deshaun Watson going to go out on the free agency market and look for big money? Is he going to demand top dollar, or is he going to take a club-friendly deal, sign 1-year deals, and become a mercenary, basically, and go in until he finds a club that he wants to fit in at? That's the question. And the question is now, if the Bears, and I know we're Bears-centric right now, but if the Bears were to look at somebody like Deshaun Watson, what does that say about Justin Fields? Because I don't believe that they're really sold all out on Justin Fields. I don't believe that.
I
And
don't
I
think you
believe,
should be so all out on Justin Fields right now. I
yeah.
don't believe that he's shown you enough to say I'm so. I believe there's enough there for you to say he has talent. He's
Well,
not,
he
not
has
a bad,
talent, but
he's better than Mitchell Trubisky. Now,
oh, I
what
don't
that
know.
might
I
say,
don't know. I
no,
don't know. I don't know.
I've seen enough Mitchell Trubisky. The best I've ever seen of Mitchell Trubisky was his play one time against Green Bay and the Bears, actually in a preseason game, which he threw for over 220 yards and won that game pretty handily in one half, really.
But
I don't know. I would take my chances with Deshaun Watson.
Oh, Deshaun Watson, of course. Yeah, but I'm talking about Justin Fields.
But Justin Fields, I would take mine over Mitchell Trubisky at this point.
We saw Justin Fields play really well when the league didn't know what he was really good at.
Mm-hmm.
But as soon as the league figured out that he couldn't read the other half of the field, a la Mitchell Trubisky, that they took that away from him, and now he sat back there patting the football. Then we saw that he became a less than average quarterback at times. You know, he looked like Kyler Murray there the last 2 or 3 ball games he was in. All of a sudden, they take away my top thing that I can do, and I can't make adjustments. This is the reason why your top quarterbacks in the league are able to be effective when teams take away their first options, because they understand they can read defenses and they know where the holes are. You see these young guys who are super talented physically, they don't always have the mental game down. And that's the biggest problem now. You see that with Justin Fields. You definitely saw that with Mitchell Trubisky. This was a guy who could not read the back half of the field. If he got past his second read, it was over with. And how many times did you see Mitchell Trubisky not hit the check down in the flat? Just wouldn't throw the check down. He'd rather take the sack, or he'd rather run, try to force the ball in somewhere. And that's where a lot of his picks came from, was forcing the ball in places. And then, too, that defense, that Bears team, put him in a position where he had to throw the football a lot. And that's just a recipe for disaster. You're an inaccurate guy forcing the ball because you need to push the ball down the field. That's a recipe for disaster. We know that. So the question is, right now with the Chicago Bears, are they happy with Justin Fields? Is this their guy? I know there's a lot of guys out there, and Uncle Jay SIZZLE, you always be talking bad about Justin Fields. Yeah, well, tell me something good about Justin Fields.
I'll tell you something very good. You don't have an option at this point. You better make Justin Fields work. That's what's really good. There is nothing else at this point. If Justin Fields doesn't work, everybody's getting fired. It's going down the tubes for everybody, because now that means you're going to have to start over from ground zero with no wide receivers, shaky line, a running back that's suspect at best, because the person that I'm concerned with is not so much Justin Fields. It's the running back room for the Bears. They're average running backs. They're not great. They're just average. There's some guys that are back there.
Well, let's ask this question now. You got rid of a serviceable lineman in James Daniels. Now, we know he was not going to be a Pro Bowler, but we also know that he wasn't exactly trash. So let's ask a question now. I don't care how great of a running back you are. If you don't have an offensive line that's going to open up some holes for you, it doesn't really matter. But if you have an offensive line that has some road graders on there, like the Colts, like Nelson, like the guard for the Colts, if you have a couple of road graders out there, you could put me back there and I can pick up a couple of yards. So the issue is not so much how great the running back is, it is definitely how good your offensive line is. And apparently polls saw what I saw a lot about with James Daniels, that he doesn't finish blocks. He's athletic, he can get out there on the edge, but you just didn't have the nasty to finish blocks on the back end. And I think that's what you're going to see with the Bears, because everybody's job, when you let go of Khalil Mack, everybody's up for trade. All y'all gonna be gone up out of here.
And here's my question. The bigger question is that the end? Is this Khalil Mack might have been step one.
Yeah.
Are you getting rid of everybody else then? Are you saying
Danny Trevathan's gone?
Well, Danny Trevathan should have been gone. He should have been long gone. I don't know if you had to keep him around for his cap number, but Danny Trevathan was a shell of himself 2 years ago.
Yeah.
And it just, I mean, he would just get eaten up in coverage. He was unplayable in some respects when it came to the defense. So you got another linebacker on the other side. This is hot as he's gonna get right now. Do you trade him and then try and accrue some more picks and assets? I don't know what Ryan Poles is doing. It sounds like he's playing the acquiring assets game. And I don't know if that's going to win or if that's going to lose.
Well, how long of a time period do we give the new Bears GM? Is this a 3 years love fest?
I think it's a 4-year.
I think it's a 4-year love fest. You're the greatest boo ever.
Yeah, you're gonna get slapped in this first year. Everybody's like, okay, you're gonna get slapped, and then you make those moderate gains by 2, and then 3. If you're not good, they're going to start making decisions about you. By 4, either you're on the road running or you're going to be moving out.
Yeah. I'm just interested too, and I'm also interested too with the Steelers. Now you saw them get James Down. You also saw them get Vikings considering Mason Cole.
Mm-hmm.
They're shoring up that offensive line in front of Mitchell Trubisky. Here's the funny part about it. Did Mitchell Trubisky say, hey, that guy down there, James Daniels, he's a good player. Bring him on up here. Did Mitchell say, okay, bring him on? You know, that he was used, that he's a guy who he's comfortable with playing that left. He played left guard, right? I think he played left guard.
He played left guard, he played center, and he played right guard. But he was primarily a right guard.
So here's a guy possibly that Mitchell Trubisky is very comfortable with in there. Not that he was saying have that much of a say so, but you wonder, quarterbacks, when they come in the house, they do go in and say, hey, I like this guy, I don't like this guy, and these GMs listen to him. So it's going to be interesting this year. Again, they're really you look at the teams around the country, look at the Chiefs, who really didn't do a whole lot of movement this year. They're sort of staying pat. So you don't see a whole lot of teams right now making huge. Now I'll tell you one team that I saw, the Jets.
Made a lot of moves.
Have made a lot of moves, man.
A lot of.
I mean, they got Jordan Whitehead from the Buccaneers, which I was interested about that. Him coming in. I didn't know, but the Buccaneers might have been shedding some salary up there. Who else? They got 49ers guard Laken Tomlinson, $40 million. You know, man, these offensive linemen are making the cheese now. It used to be a time they weren't making the big cheese. 3 years and $40 million, or like $24 million of it guaranteed.
Right. Look what the guards are making right now.
Yeah, that's pretty good.
Their guards are making tackle money right now, and you're beginning to see that little number is pushing further and further up, where running backs seem to be taking the hit. Yeah,
dime a dozen. I mean, but if you have a good offensive line, running backs become really pretty much interchangeable, because all these guys now, think about it, all these guys now are either all of them run 4.5 at least.
Right.
All of them run 4.5. Most of these guys are, on the bigger side, they're 6'2", 220, running 4.5, right. Or they're 5'10", 220, running 4.4, and these guys are interchangeable. I mean, they all have ball skills for the most part. All of them catch the ball out the backfield. I mean, it used to be a time guys go out there, you throw the ball to the running back, and it was like fumbleitis going on out there. It's not like that anymore. These guys could all catch. They could split them out and put them in the slot.
Right.
So these guys are super interchangeable right now. And so I think to their detriment, all of them got better. And since all of them got better, they're far better coached now than what they were before. There isn't that much difference between these running backs anymore. And now you can pick up a running back late in the 3rd, 4th, 5th round, plug them in. You can pull somebody off the couch as long as they're in shape. Got a good offensive line in front of them. They're going to carry the pill for you and get it done. So to their detriment.
That's funny you talked about that, because I've always wondered, as a fantasy player, you always wonder, you got Ezekiel Elliott sitting there.
Yeah.
And I'm beginning to believe he's more now name than he is production.
Absolutely. He's crushed me the last 2 years I've had it.
Yeah. If he's your main running back, you're in trouble already in fantasy, because he's either there or he's not producing. He's not giving you touchdowns. He'll give you touches, but not touchdowns, or he'll give you a couple of touchdowns, but very limited in touches. But you got a funny thing that just happened in Dallas. You signed one of the most troubled players in the NFL. I mean, this was a cat who was getting ready to head back out the door. So now you've got a defensive lineman that you think, he's okay. Maybe we'll sign him. And then you hear through the back door, there's a lot of shady business going on with contracts. A lot of language was changed at the last minute. And you've got a player who said, nah, thank you. What I'll do is I'll go across the way to Denver and, I'll play for the Broncos. I mean,
he said, I'm out of there.
I don't know.
That was hilarious.
Have you ever heard of that where a player just says, all right, I'm gone?
Well, you know what it is?
I'm out.
You know what it is now? Because there's no loyalty for teams anymore. Very seldom loyalty for teams anymore because the teams aren't loyal to their players. Mm-hmm. And because these guys are making so much money now, they can hold out or they can say, you know what, I'm not going to play for you. And basically, if you tie them up some kind of way, they're not going to miss a meal. Mm-hmm. It used to be a time, where these guys were only making your top flight offensive linemen were only making $2 million a year. You really couldn't hold out or you really couldn't make these moves against franchises because everybody in your family still needed their rent paid and still needed their cell phone bills paid. And if all of a sudden you didn't have that paycheck coming in, grandmama wasn't they was coming to get her Cadillac. Yeah. So the issue is now is that these guys have enough money and they have enough moxie and they understand contracts. Used to be a time these guys didn't know a contract. They were, I just play football. Right. That guy, you even got guys right now trying to be their own agents. I think what's that, Lamar Jackson's like that. I think a couple other guys who are trying to cut out the middleman, even though that never works out for you. But you see a much more better educated football player right now. And I think also the players union is better at educating these players on what to do and what not to do, and they are a resource for them. And so you see guys like this who are saying, that deal's not good enough. Let me go check another deal. Okay, no, I don't have to sign with you. I'll go somewhere. It almost sounds like one of those kids, which college are you going to? And they got the hats out in front of them. You know what I'm saying? When they get ready to sign to go to college. Oh, I said I was going to, Saskatchewan State, but nope, Alabama called. I'm going to Alabama. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? Like, you have a handshake deal, but it doesn't matter. I'm going over here because a better team put more money out or a team just treated them better. I think a lot of it, too, is how does a team make a player feel? I think a lot of these guys get all in their feelings. And if you didn't send a private jet for me, you had me wait. What was that? What was that movie with Jerry Maguire? You know what I'm saying? You got me waiting. You're gonna interview this other guy, but got me waiting in the hallway. Well, no, that ain't it. You're gonna sign this other guy, and I think that's what you saw happen up with the Packers. Mm-hmm. That they made Devontae Adams like, oh, you gonna treat me like this? You gonna give all the money to my man? Well, who was he throwing to? What was he throwing? Who was he throwing to? He was throwing to me. And you ain't gonna pay me, and not TB12 because TB12 would have looked out for him. Right. Aaron Rodgers looked out for himself and didn't give Devontae Adams any money because I guarantee you, he could have said, "Hey, look, man, give me 170 and give my man the other 30." You know what I'm saying? But no, he didn't. He's gonna give me all the money. I want all of it because I need all my money. Like I don't have enough already. And don't get me wrong. If you're getting paid, you're getting paid. But who you gonna throw the ball to now? Because they ain't got Jordy Nelson out there no more. Who's your tight end now? All of them is gone. Ain't nobody left up there. You know what I'm saying? He gonna be throwing the ball to himself. Can you do that? Yeah,
he's gonna try to because they're stacking up on defenders and they've got a few defenders that are coming up for big paychecks later. But if anybody didn't know what we were talking about before with the Dallas Cowboys, we were talking about Randy Gregory. And Randy Gregory just got a contract or accepted a contract from the Denver Broncos for a 5-year, $70 million deal, which includes $28 million guaranteed.
Big
now, here's the thing. He had the same contract sitting on the table from Dallas, but there were allegations, as Jay just said, that he wasn't being treated well. Things weren't going right. Things were going wrong. And so Randy Gregory decided to take his talents to Colorado. And now he's going to be with Mr. Sierra, and they're going to put together I don't know what they're going to put together. I'm just lying.
Hey.
I don't know what they're going to put together, but I hold mine that the Broncos will be a 10 to 12 win team this season.
Super Broncos Super Bowl. The Broncos is going to be no joke. They signed, I think they signed a guy for the 49ers.
Yeah.
Jones, a defensive tackle. They gave him $30 million, gave him 10 years. Mm-hmm. That defense is going to be with Gregory. That defense is going to be something else. And now you got Russell Wilson, who give him a little bit of time, and he still has scramble capability. He's still a top flight quarterback. They just ran out of options for him in Seattle. They couldn't keep paying him and then paying everybody else up there. They just couldn't keep doing it. Now he's in a good position, a lot like what Tom Brady did down with the Buccaneers. He came down to a team that's pretty much ready to go. I mean, and so they just signed their Khalil Mack. That's who Randy Gregory is right there for them. They signed Khalil Mack down there, basically. And they say, let's go win.
Let's talk about that. So, okay, we know Khalil Mack is now at the Chargers. We understand they have no more excuses. If they don't win, it's because you suck. But we get that. But when it comes to Russell Wilson, did he do the Peyton Manning? Did he pull a Peyton Manning? Did he go to a Denver team? Did he sign off because he had a no trade clause in his contract? Did he say, okay, well, I'm gonna go where they're pretty much ready made because it's not gonna happen for me.
Absolutely.
In Seattle. So is Denver? Are we saying that Denver is that ready made team to go and rumble for the Super Bowl?
Yeah, I think right now, unless something injuries befall them in some way, shape, or form and derails this thing, I mean, that defense is going to be formidable. Russell Wilson is going to be a good quarterback for them because he provides that veteran leadership right from the beginning. And he's one of these guys who've been noted that he's a super hard worker, first in, last out of the locker room. And he's the guy who's going to command their respect. You know, so he's a guy, a lot of these guys, younger guys that come in, they had his poster up on their wall. No, Russell Wilson's been around for a little bit. So I think he walked into a really good situation. Fresh air is always good. And now you brought in, and that's the only reason why you signed a Randy Gregory. That's the only reason why you get this guy this big money, because you know he's going to come in and he's going to wreak havoc. He's Lawrence Taylor for you right now. But I'm sure there are some clauses in there that if he gets out of pocket, like he know he can, because he can be a loose cannon, that some of his money is going to get shut off, or they can sit him down. Because I think Antonio Brown, not saying he's Antonio Brown, like, don't get me wrong, but I think a lot of teams will put the ejector clause into these guys' contracts, especially guys, hey, we'll pay you the money as long as you toe the line. But as soon as you get off the line, we're going to hit the eject button on you. And, we're going to shut that money off at that point. So I'm pretty sure for him to sign for that big money like that, for them to give their stuff in that contract, that we will probably not know about unless he does something to get that contract voided in some way, shape, or form.
So at the end of this, since we're getting ready to come to a close, Jay, I'll give you the final words to give your thoughts on where we stand with Tom Brady as he returns to Tampa Bay, which seems like he never left Tampa Bay. He's just gone for a little bit, and now he was back. He just needed to go on vacation for a little while, and then he came back, and now everybody's happy. It's Wonderland again for Tampa Bay. But, oh, wait, Tampa Bay lost, and they didn't even get to the NFC Championship. Okay, so what's going to make this Tampa Bay any better than the Tampa Bay they had last season?
I think this Tampa Bay is going to be worse, to tell you the truth, even though I said wide receiver-wise, they're going to be with Gage down there. Hopefully you get Godwin coming back off the ACL. We haven't heard anything about Rob Gronkowski if he's coming back. But the issue is they lost their guard. I think Whitehead is gone. I think somebody else is gone down off that offensive line. So I really think, in my mind, this is a mistake for Tom Brady. I think he should have just went on and sold his milkshakes and hung out with Giselle. But here's the other side of it. Maybe he sat there and looked at Giselle and looked at everybody and was like, oh, no, I can't do it. I can't do it. And Giselle said, oh, no, Tom, you got to go back. You can't sit around here no longer. I wonder if she's sending him back out the house. I wonder if she told him you need to go do something. Go get in the booth, because these drinks ain't gonna sell like you think they are. Remember 50 Cent had the vitamin water out? Mm-hmm. And Snoop Dogg had the $50 million, right? Right. And Snoop Dogg had 19 bullets or something like that. His wine, I think, was out something like he had. I think she was like, look, either go get out here and go sell that. But if you don't feel like that, you want to dive in directly into business, you need to go back out there on that football field. And I really think Tom Brady just, he's so walking around with that big log on his shoulder. Mm-hmm. And he went out like he went last year. I think he just thought, hey, that was a team we could have won the Super Bowl. And I want to run it back because one more ride. It's Super Bowl or bust this year. I just hope he can stay upright and not get injured. But I do believe this time out, this is going to be his last hurrah. We'll see what happens down there. But I don't think Tampa Bay is going to be that juggernaut. I just think they're going to get derailed this year. If they can get 10 wins out of them this year, that will be fabulous. But you might be looking at a team that's 9-8 out of there. I just don't know if they're going to have that magic again. And then too, it doesn't take long. After a while, this is not a Bill Belichick led Chiefs team. I mean, Tampa Bay Buccaneers team, and we do know Belichick was able to pull the pieces together down there, because if you know Bruce Arians, before Tom Brady got there, what was going on with those with Tampa Bay? You know what I'm saying? They weren't really even in the hunt, until Tom Brady got there and he brought all his friends with him. So can he put the people around Tom Brady now that the league has gotten used to him being there? There's nothing surprising about him. There's no more surprises unless he drags Devontae Adams down there, which wouldn't that be something? You know what I'm saying?
But again, how can you afford that? And I'm not going to let you disrespect the Crab League king here. Tampa Bay had a quarterback and he was doing quite well.
Yeah. How's he doing now?
Yeah, he wasn't Tom Brady.
Okay.
So, okay. Tom Brady, he's the greatest quarterback of all time. He's the greatest man ever. They're still going to lose.
That's true.
Yeah. So, hey, man, I don't like to leave the show on a sad note, but I do have to shout out my people who are WWE fans and those around the world who were mourning the passing of Scott Hall. And if those who don't know, it was Razor Ramon. He died. And, just our hearts and prayers.
Let's go out early. Oh, I just wanted to say I had an aunt pass recently, and my aunt Ina, and so she's wonderful lady. So I just wanted to say we're standing there with you, John Martin, my cousin, my other Cardinal Welton Scott, and Natalie, Marcus, all of you guys. So I'll be heading out that way in a couple of weeks. So we're going to celebrate her passing. That's the wrong way. Celebrate her passing, but celebrate her homegoing. But
celebrate her life.
Standing what you got. Yeah, celebrate her life. I just want to say, with you 100%, guys, and going to miss her greatly. So just wanted to put that in there.
Yeah, and God blessings to you and your family, and to all of those who've lost someone. So you know who it is. You know what it is. It's the Sizzle in the building. And when we come back, we're going to talk some NBA. That's right. We're going to talk about what's going on with the amazing, the Chicago Bulls. It's not that amazing.
The Chicago Bears. Yeah, the Bulls are playing like they're the Chicago Bears. Good. Can we lose some more? I'm sorry. That was on the wrong segment.
Yeah, we'll talk about it next when we see you on the other side. This is the Sizzle.
Make sure that you follow us on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram at Iron Skillet Sports. And remember to like, share, and subscribe to Iron Skillet Sports on YouTube at Iron Skillet Sports.